On the phone with us, the frontman and guitarist from Kiss, and now he has delved into an art career. It is a true pleasure to have Paul Stanley on the phone with us. Paul, how are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing, guys?
Very good. So you've got an art show happening in Charlotte, June 12th and 13th at the Wentworth Gallery. Are your art shows, I would imagine they are some of the few in the art community where people are allowed to attend sleeveless?
You know, it's anything goes. You know, this is my third one, I think, in Charlotte, and you know, I think the problem with most art shows is that people have this feeling that they can't go to an art show because they don't know anything about art, or if you're not educated about art, you can't have an opinion. And I tell those people, look, you don't need to have an education to know what bad food is. If you spit it out, it means you don't like it. So
you can go to paulstanley.com and see just a ton of Paul's paintings. You can preview some of them there. What does a Paul Stanley original go for?
They go for all different prices. You know, I have to say that I think the most expensive pieces have gotten about $60,000 or $70,000, and you know, there are prints, you know, for people who you know, are not going to be buying originals. Obviously, most of the originals wind up with collectors, you know, with the more serious collectors. But prints are available, and you know, when you purchase something, you get to spend a little time with me, and you know, we get to chat and take a picture. Obviously, the turnouts are so great that it's impossible for me to spend time with people unless, you know, they see something they like. Otherwise, I make sure that I get out there and give a shout-out to everybody so everybody sees me, and, you know, but it's not an autograph session. It's not a memorabilia session. Don't bring your license plate, your CDs, your T-shirts, your albums. You know, it's just the wrong place. You know, I'm always available, but this is the wrong place and the wrong time.
I tell you what, Paul, we just actually painted the studio, and we got that whole back wall back there,
true.
D. And we would love to have you come and just paint an original on that.
You know,
that would be fantastic if you got some time.
I'm certainly available. You just have to turn over your year's salary.
That wouldn't even scratch the surface,
I was
believe
about to
me.
say, what you just said an original goes for, that wouldn't come close.
Yeah. I'll give you my car, Dee's car, our Midday Girls car, and maybe we'll talk then.
Okay. All right, you're on.
Maybe we'll talk.
We're talking to Paul Stanley from Kiss. The art show, or his art show, happens at the Wentworth Gallery in Charlotte, June 12th and 13th.
2005, a bootleg CD began circulating around entitled "People, Let Me Get This Off My Chest," the very best of Paul Stanley's onstage banter.
I've heard that, and it's pretty funny. It's great. You know, hey, you know, nobody ever said that, you know, I'm subtle on stage. I tell people, you know, I'm not a ham, I'm the whole pig. So,
when you listen back, what is the one subject you can't believe you went on for that long about?
I don't, you know, I mean, usually, you know, it's just about being at the event. It's kind of like, I'm kind of like a evangelical preacher, you know, and I'm preaching the gospel of rock and roll. It's just, you know, I'm out there having a great time, and, you know, I just kind of go off, and, you know, I'm not always sure where I'm going to end up.
I know when we're in radio and we listen back to ourselves, sometimes we're like, oh, God, I can't believe we said that or anything. Have you ever had that about anything that you've said on stage, or have you ever pulled the old Spinal Tap where you're like, hello, Cleveland, and you're not in Cleveland at all, you're somewhere else?
I leave that to my partner. You know, on the South American tour, I think he made a lot of people happy by calling Buenos Aires Rio. You know. But no, you know, if for no other reason, you know, because we do so many shows, I always make sure that there's something on stage with the name of the city, only because, you know, we're always on the same stage, we're always playing on the same set. So what differs, you know, from night to night is where we are. And, you know, when you're doing a lot of back-to-back shows, you know, you can kind of have a mind slip. So I try to make sure that that doesn't happen, because every audience, you know, deserves to be called by their rightful name.
We are talking to Paul Stanley from Kiss. You mentioned your upcoming North American tour here real soon. You guys are letting the fans plot that out, and so far it seems like folks from every corner of Canada have come out in droves to vote for this thing.
Well, the reason reason that happened was
internet?
because we first announced it in Canada, and we gave it to the radio stations there. So initially, it certainly has looked like, we're going to be spending all our time in Canada. But actually, the U.S. is doing a great job catching up. It's just that the radio stations in the U.S. hadn't gone on the event yet, which brings me to I think we're about 2 weeks from completing the new Kiss album, which should be pretty darn cool. It's it sounds as vintage and as classic as the things we did in the 70s. It really sounds like we've once and for all picked up where we left off around Rock and Roll Over and Destroyer, and it's just a terrific album.
Paul, we'd like to ask you a favor, of course, outside of the mural that we're going to have you paint on our studio wall.
I didn't know I was going to be giving these kind of favors out, but go ahead.
We like to push the envelope here. Now, Dee and I, we've been on the air for about 4 years now, and we've talked to a lot of great artists and a lot of just superstar bands. Now, with you, that's 3/4 of the original members of Kiss that we've talked to. And we've also talked to 3/4 of the original members of Motley Crue. And now it's down to Ace Frehley or Vince Neil, who we get on first to complete the entire band that we've actually talked to. And I think it would be an honor if we could get Kiss on first.
Well, you have to find Ace, because honestly, I have no idea where he is or what he's up to. But if you can find him, I'm sure he'd be happy to talk to you.
Do you know Vince Neil's phone number?
Well, how much?
The art show is June 12th and 13th at the Wentworth Gallery. Paul will be there, and you'll have a chance to spend some time with him if you buy one of his pieces. You can see them all, paulstanley.com. Paul, I got to tell you, when I heard that you were an artist, I was not expecting some of the beautiful paintings that I saw, my friend.
Well, thank you, ma'am, and I'm sure I'll see you on the upcoming Kiss tour.